It's a Duluth business that's been called ground zero in the battle over synthetic drugs. The Last Place on Earth is owned and operated by Duluth businessman Jim Carlson, who, under a bill signed into law by Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton last week, could face a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison for each conviction, plus a fine of up to $10,000 if he continues to sell synthetic alternatives to marijuana and other drugs. Carlson has vowed to fight this new law in court and joins us today to talk about how he intends to pursue this battle. And thank you very much for coming in today, Jim.
Thank you, Barbara.
Now, this has been quite a battle. What's happening at Ground Zero at your store?
You know, we've fought it on a city level and won. They threw out their law. It banned all hemp product. It banned Vicks Vapor Rub nasal sprays. So the city threw the ordinance out and told us after we filed our lawsuit, 2.5 hours later, they called up the attorney and said, put it back on the shelf. We fought the state over their law that they passed last year, which banned anything that stimulates the brain. So we fought them on that, and they're throwing that one out come August 1st. The new one will replace it. We went after the federal government, and of course they're so powerful they walk into court and say we can do whatever we want, and the judge agreed, so we quit wasting our money with the DEA and Department of Justice. But this product's all over the world, it's all over the country, and there's just areas all over that nobody's being bothered at all. Even in Minnesota and different states, there's people selling this that have never had an issue, never had a problem with it, and it was just some of the city council and then the police chief getting riled up about it. And
it is true that there are other shops that sell some of these synthetic drugs, other shops in Duluth and on the Iron Range. Why is the Last Place on Earth Ground Zero?
Well, we're selling a lot, and the reason is we've got lower prices, and a lot of people are really gouging them out there, and they're charging 18 to 20 bucks a gram, and we're doing it for $2 and $5 a gram, and because we're doing lower pricing, we've got a lot more business. We got lines of 40, 60, 80 people.
We'll talk about those lines in a minute. I want to talk about your product.
Yeah.
We've referred to it as synthetic marijuana, but you sell several other synthetic drugs, that's been called synthetic coke. Well, tell me a little bit about some of your products. Help me understand.
We've got a wide variety. The synthetic marijuana that the media calls it, we call it incense. That's how we get by with selling it. The bath salts we got out of, they banned the chemicals that were in them, and we've got a whole different, we've got pills for kratom, that's a plant from Thailand. It's a painkiller, and they use it to get people off of heroin. We've got pills that help you go to sleep, that help your dreams. We've got a variety of legal alternatives that we've carried for many, many years.
By helping your dreams, are you talking about hallucinogens?
Not really, more just things that stimulate the brain a little bit for sleeping. I don't know exactly what's in them, but
you've studied the law now since it came down very recently. Does it ban all of the chemicals in all of the synthetic drugs that you carry at this point?
Not at all, and the chemists that are out there, a year ago they had 220 chemicals on the incense. Now they're up to 400, and the Minnesota law doesn't ban all of them. The head of the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension went to the Senate hearing and said they're not qualified to testify whether it affects the marijuana antagonist or C4-3 receptor in the brain, and he just says I don't know anybody that has the expertise to go in. So they left all of that out of the new law. What they basically did was they banned a bunch of chemicals. Every month, the people manufacturing this stuff comes out with new chemicals.
Sure, and the new law in Minnesota takes care of that by giving the pharmaceutical board the right to immediately see a chemical, ban the chemical. It used to have to go before the legislature. Is that a problem for you?
Not really, because the pharmacy board has 1 month, but if we can collect 100 signatures, they have to go through a review process, which takes 3 months. and it just gets dragged out with the 3 months, and it's got to go to other people, and it actually, with the pharmacy board, it could extend it to...
So you don't see this shutting you down?
No. Come August 1st, there's
That's
a
when
few,
the law takes effect,
yep,
August 1st.
Come August 1st, there's other states that have enacted laws, and some of the places, some of them, when I think Florida went into effect yesterday.
All right, let me ask you the hard questions now, Jim. The police say, you talked about the line, 60 to 80 people waiting to get in. It does happen. Any other business would probably be delighted with that. The police say that's a lineup of trouble. They say that they have to have police on staff every minute that you're open because of the trouble that those people get into. What do you have to say about that?
Well, that's not 100% true, because half the time there's no police there. And what it is it's a waste of taxpayers' money, because we've had very little trouble other than panhandlers.
Your neighboring business complained. They've complained bitterly about the panhandling, and they say people are afraid to come in because they describe some of the people waiting in your line as, quote, ragtag.
Yeah. You know, it depends on what time of day. When people are at work during, normal working hours, it's a different crowd there. And then, the college kids show up after 2 when college gets out, and business people show up after 4 or 5 when they get out. So it is different crowds at different times, but
different levels of trouble, perhaps.
Well, we've had very little, trouble out there other than the panhandlers. And if we got a sign right in our entryway, please don't give money to the panhandlers.
All right, how about this? The emergency rooms have told us very recently that they've seen a dramatic increase in the number of serious medical problems coming in based on these synthetic drugs.
They say that it's escalated, but the bottom line is 3 years ago this product wasn't available. So 3 years ago there was 0 cases. So if they had 10 or 20, that would look at it as escalating. I myself think the product is a lot safer than alcohol. You're constantly reading in the paper the guy that was killed a couple days ago because of the alcohol, Joey that went after the police with the baseball bat. I mean, he wasn't even old enough to drink.
Are we talking about 2 wrongs making a right in your mind then?
When I vote for a politician, I never like either of them, but I vote for the lesser of the evils. And there's a lot of people out there that just have to do something.
We only have a few seconds left. I want you to tell us what your lawyer intends to do to keep you in business.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to fight the law. We have to wait till August 1st. We're going to fight the law. And I just talked to him today. He thinks we'll just be switching ingredients, and the ingredients that we're going to switch to aren't on the new law. And it's going to take the pharmacy board. We're going to get 100 signatures throughout the state from other stores and ours. And it's going to take them 6 months to ban the chemical that we're using come August 1st.
And then you make another switch.
Chemical, and it'll take them 6 more months.
So yes or no, is what you're doing bad for this community?
I don't see it as bad. My brother died from alcohol, from drinking, and I see a lot of problems with alcohol, and they tried prohibition and it didn't work. I look at it as people should have the right to do, I have thousands of people a day that I wait on, and a lot of them have no problem at all with this product.
All right, Jim Carlson, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We are out of time. We'll be back to wrap up this edition of Northland Voices right after this.